Hey BooTube, what is up? Hopefully my my recording device doesn't totally cut off my videos like it did with the last one, which was Supergirl. But anyway, this is my reaction rant to The Flash Season 4, Episode 3, titled Luck Be a Lady. I know this episode premiered around October 24th, and we already had this week's episode, which is Season 4, Episode 4, titled Elongated Journey into the Night. Basically, what was it, yesterday on Halloween. But, I've been working, so let's do this. We get the Thinker, who apparently is our baddie, and he's observing a woman by the name of Becky Sharp, who apparently is a woman who's cursed with unseemingly unending bad luck. And he determines, that she could be easily manipulated, right? And I knew that name sounded freakishly familiar, so I went back to my little records of, characters, and of course, no wonder the name sounded familiar. Her full name is actually Rebecca Sharp, Becky for short, and she is known in the comic books as Hazard. And if you don't know who Hazard is, she has psionic powers that can alter probability as she wishes. So it's kind of like, who's that Marvel girl, Scarlet Witch, probability and all that shit. She could kind of do the same thing, kind of. And her team affiliation was the Injustice Society. She has psionic powers that she uses in the conjunction with special dice, which pretty much influence probability as she wishes. She can cause good luck or harmful accidents to befall anybody. And the origin of her powers and the nature of her dice and the relationship between them are kind of unknown from what I remember. And she's in good physical condition, but she has no known training in hand-to-hand combat, honestly. And apparently, this is interesting, she actually has family who have had run-ins with the good guys. Becky's grandfather, who I believe is Stephen Sharp III, was the original person by the name of Gambler. He was the original person who had the name Gambler, and he went toe-to-toe with the Justice Society a lot in the late 1940s. And Becky's cousin, Stephen Sharp V, pretty much took over their grandpa's criminal mantle and became Gambler, basically. And this is the only known media of Hazard being around. Give me 1 second, guys. Alright, guys, I thought I heard something, that's why I was like, what's that? But anyway, that's the history of Becky Sharp, and this is the first known media appearance of Becky Sharp, and if you're wondering, yes, it is a fidget spinner. It's so funny. It is from Fry's Electronics, guys. I think they're going a little too far. This was actually gifted to me by someone who works at Fry's. I'm not gonna say who, but, she gifted it to me, and I was like, Fry's Electronics makes fidget spinners, guys. And I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna humor her. It was a gift. I'm like, okay. Anyway, back to reality. Barry and Iris are preparing for their wedding. But then, the team gets called in because apparently Becky decides to rob a bank. The woman who has horrible bad luck and is being observed by Thinker decides to rob a bank, right? And she manages to get away only because Barry ends up slipping on a shitload of marbles that were inside a truck, which I thought was hilarious. And I don't know why I keep playing with this stupid thing. I do have, if you guys don't know me, I do have ADHD. And I have ADHD, I am bipolar, and I do have an anxiety disorder, so 2 out of 3 reasons for this, probably. But anyway, you guys remember Harry? Remember Jesse Quick from Earth 2? Yeah, her dad, Harry, he shows up from Earth 2 and apparently reveals to Wally that apparently Jesse wants to break up with him. Which breaks my heart because you see Wally all excited. He's like, oh my god, it's another breach? Could it be Jesse or Harry or both of them from Earth 2? And then just Harry shows up and it's like, oh yeah, by the way, my daughter wants to end things with you. And it's like, you can hear Wally's heart break, and I'm like, Wally, I felt so bad for him. That's just messed up. Oh my god. Anyway, I'll get back to that later, but Cisco pretty much can tell what Becky's, pretty much deduces Becky's power, which is she is a metahuman, and apparently from what Cisco deduced, he's like, she's a metahuman with the power to generate a quantum field that basically affects people's luck, right? Which is, in a way, just like in her comic book origin, right? And, what you call it? While looking into the source of her powers, they find out that, well, Barry realizes that the portal that he came out of, because remember, Cisco used this, like, machine thing to bring Barry out of the Speed Force without messing up the Speed Force in any shape or form, right? You remember when that happened? Barry lit, like, a random-ass giant portal came out of nowhere in, like, the middle of a city, and Barry zoomed out, and then he ended up in the countryside. Well, apparently, the very portal he popped into, which was in the middle of a city, in the middle of, like, a very busy road, exposed, like, a entire busload of people, which includes Becky and that one guy, Deacon. Remember in the previous episodes, well, I'm not sure if it was episode 2 or 1, but remember Deacon? Yes, Becky and Deacon were apparently two people that were on this, there was a bus filled with people, Becky and Deacon were two of them, and they got exposed to transformative dark matter when Barry got released from the Speed Force. And we kind of see that, because if you go back in the episode where Barry does come out of the Speed Force, we see the giant portal in the middle of a busy street. We do see a giant bus literally in front of the portal, like literally screeched to a halt right in front of the portal, and that must be the bus that had Becky and Deacon, everybody else in it. So yeah, Cisco, Barry, and all them. Cisco was the one who got Barry out of the Speed Force, so technically it's Cisco's fault. He's the one who wanted Barry out of the Speed Force. He made the freaking device that could bring Barry out of the Speed Force. Barry came out randomly in a random place, which just happened to have a bus filled with people. So they basically created a bus full of metahumans. Unintentional metahumans. A bus full, which included Deacon and now Becky. And we also get this moment where Wells is talking to Cisco, and he admits to Cisco that the reason why he came to Earth 1 is because back on Earth 2, Cisco created his own team Flash on Earth 2, of course consisting of him and his daughter, Jessie Quick. And him and his daughter are butting heads. They had like this huge argument and everything, and they pretty much kicked him off the team. His daughter and their Team Flash basically kicked off Harry off the team. That's why he's there on Earth 1. Which I felt so bad for Harry. And it's like, aw, that must suck to have your own daughter kick you off their team. It's like, honey, why? Anyway, we get this, we see a whole bunch of Becky luck everywhere, right? At one point, even, what you call it? Barry even talked to Becky at one point at that coffee place, you know, that one that Iris used to work at, and just anonymously, you know what I mean, and we just see a whole bunch of shit. I don't remember exactly what they said, but when she was leaving, we just saw all these hazard shit happening, like, we see this guy on a ladder trying to, like, with, like, I think a staple gun, he's trying to staple stuff on top of this, on top of the wall, high wall, and he's trying, his gun gets jammed, his little staple gun gets jammed, and he's pointing it straight at a woman who comes in with a baby stroller. We see coffee makers going hazard. It was just, not happening. But Becky's quantum field actually expands out of control because she ends up in, like, what looks like a Central City's version of Vegas. Because she's in casino, she's winning back and forth, she's playing craps and winning, and then, I don't know what else she played, but she ends up seeing a slot machine, and she's like, oh, I want to play, I always win, and all that stuff. So she's at a freaking slot machine, the world's slowest slot machine, by the way. I've never seen a slot machine that effing slow in my life. But anyway, like, as it's going and everything, she's like, cherry, cherry, and all that stuff. Her field expands out of control to the point where her freaking quantum field actually manages to reactivate the particle accelerator to explode, pretty much putting the entire city in danger. And other things happen, like, for instance, there's a plane in the sky, apparently, from what I remember, and this poor little goose that you see on the screen, there's a goose innocently flying, and all of a sudden, I don't know what the hell happened, but he ends up getting sucked into a plane turbine, like, pfft, explosion. And the wind turbine explodes, and the plane's, like, going down. It's like, I have to go in the water and all that stuff. Just shit happening, as well as a particle accelerator. And, you get Harry and Cisco trying to, you know, shut down the particle accelerator. We see Barry head off to that freaking casino and try to stop Becky, but of course, shit happens, you know, like, they had these special handcuffs to handcuff metahumans to stop their powers. But instead, nope, he ends up falling and handcuffing himself, dampening his own powers. What else happened? From what I remember, though, as everything was going down, the particle accelerator had a countdown and everything. Harry's like, persuade Cisco to just let the particle accelerator activate, because he's like, cutting wires, and all of a sudden he just stops, and Cisco's like, what are you doing? And in my head, I was like, what the hell are you doing, Harry, right? It's like, the particle accelerator is going to explode. What are you doing? Well, he obviously has a plan, right? Because you could tell he has a thinking face on. And so he's like, just let the thing go. And apparently, when the particle accelerator activated, it briefly disrupts Becky's quantum field, which basically, you get proof because when she was doing the slot thing, it went cherry, cherry, and then it went to crown. So her luck thing was gone, which rendered Becky powerless. And Barry was able to get out of the damn handcuffs and handcuff her. And, that was the end of Hazard. And, by the way, Cisco did name her Hazard, so I was pretty happy about that. But, pretty much later on in the episode, though, Cisco and Harry, based on a heat scan, they were able to identify that along with Becky and Deacon, there are 12 other new metahumans that were created on that bus when Barry came out of the Speed Force. So that was like 12, 14 now? That includes, I'm not sure if it's 12 metahumans that include Becky and Deacon, or it's Becky and Deacon plus 12 more. But 12 to 14, judging. I don't remember. But anyway, another thing that broke my heart, though, was the fact Wally. With the whole Jessie breakup and everything, and apparently Jessie apparently broke up with him because she wants to find herself and everything, Wally decides to do the same. So he's like, you guys, Jessie did this because she wants to find herself, and you know what, that's a pretty damn good idea. I want to find myself too. And kudos to Wally, but it still breaks my heart because Wally decided to leave Central City, and it's just so bumming not to see Kid Flash, especially when before he said that, he's like, you guys didn't even notice I was gone. Which was so painfully true. The entire team didn't even realize he went to Earth 2 to talk to Jessie and then come back. Which is kind of sad. It's like, how can you not notice Wally? Honestly. But good for Wally for trying to find himself. I'm gonna miss Wally. I hope that the actor who plays Wally decides to come back more often, because I love Kid Flash. I honestly do, and I love the actor who plays him. But anyway, apparently, the Thinker, because remember when the Samuroid attacked, they kept the helmet as a little souvenir? Yeah, apparently that wasn't a good idea, because the Thinker is spying on Star Labs using the Samuroid helmet that they kept as a souvenir. So, bad idea, guys. And also, we get an interesting moment. I wish I can get more into it, but I'm running out of time. We find out that Joe finds out that Cecelia is pregnant, so there's going to be another baby West, guys. I wish I can get more into that, but I'm running out of time, so this is my reaction rant to The Flash, Season 4, Episode 3, Luck Be a Lady, and I'll probably get more into that when I get all these videos out of the way, okay? Peace, guys. Wally, I love you!